Okay, so get down here to Lower Norfair. Depending on what strat you use, you'll either use a crystal flash before coming down the elevator or immediately after. Unless you happen to have like a bajillion health somehow. I guess maybe if you have safety, energy tank, whatever. This room's kind of interesting. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I find the best way to get through it is to do a morph into the ceiling here, bounce off that second platform, not like that, land right about there, shoot, and then do a jump mock ball right there at the end. That last jump has actually given me a lot of trouble. I'm not sure when I started getting it semi-consistently or why, but you can also just do like a gap skip right there. That's almost as fast. So, moving on. The reason we want to mock ball into this next room is so that we can lay a power bomb immediately upon entry. You can come over here, and there's a couple different things you can do. I like to shoot this guy and then do a jump and morph down through there. You don't have to. You can also do like a roll into it as a blocks of breaking thing, and that'll get you all the way down immediately. Or you can just drop that. But yeah, I found the fastest thing that you can do is a well-timed jump morph here. You want to shoot the guy so that he stops walking forward, and you can just do it down back there. The normalization setup that I use for GGG, which is coming up in the next room, is I try to push against this block right here to the left as I'm falling down so that I'm aligned with it. Basically that just makes it so that the timing that you need to handle for the GGG in the next room should always be the same. Okay, I have a separate tutorial for GGG, and from what I remember, it's actually pretty good. It's probably still semi-decent. I'm sure it's outdated in some respects, but that's okay. The main thing that I'm going to cover here is just the easier strat, even though it looks harder, and then backups. So the easiest way to do this is to do a running shot on it. Basically, we wanted to hold dash until we came through the door, and then you can release dash from there. You hold R right here, and then you jump and shoot. You're holding R this entire time. Basically, when I jump, I'm aiming for like this part of the ceiling, so that you don't bonk on the stalactite or the ledge or whatever is going on there. Sometimes you will if you like jump in the wrong way. Of course, it won't do it now, but anyway, so, or you'll end up too low. But yeah, if you just kind of aim for that corner or the flat space right after the corner, that's kind of what you want to do. Now, if you happen to miss this, I'll just try and miss it on purpose. Okay. What I've learned to do is hold shoot when you're doing your shot, and that way, if you do miss, you can just immediately moonwalk back, jump forward, and try again, so that it makes it through the gate without impact. Anyway, so that's the backup I use if I miss the running jump one. Apparently I need to practice it more, but yeah. Assuming you get this on the first shot, what you want to do is run forward with powerbomb selected. I do arm pumps, and then you want to lay your powerbomb right around here. There's these 3 tiles. I basically do it on the middle one or slightly to the left middle one. And what that will do is make sure that the powerbomb hits every single ripper in this room, so you can collect all of the super missiles and continue on. Okay, so let's say that you miss it, actually. Hopefully you get it on your second one. So we'll try that. And there we go. If that happens, what I do is I come over to this platform and I wait for those rippers to pass over. A little bit longer than that. There we go. It's like this. That will still hit all of the rippers, so you can still collect all the supers. It just takes a little longer. If you try to do this strat after missing the gate once, you're not going to hit all the rippers. So that's why I don't do that. There might be a faster way, but I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, we're not going to waste too much time on this. Or I roll over here with grapple selected, and I collect the supers that way, and then I do a mockball in the next room. Okay, there are a few things that you can do here, and what you want to do depends on a few different aspects of the run. So I'll just talk about that briefly. For GT, depending on how many supers you have, and which beams you have, the fight is going to go faster or slower. Oh, right. So if you picked up Spazer, basically, you want to use Spazer as much as you can in the fight. Because it has pretty good damage output on GT, surprisingly. There we go. But yeah, if you do farm them and you want all of the supers, the best thing to do is roll in and immediately place a power bomb right here. If you farm them and you don't care about having all of the supers, you can collect 5 just by playing a power bomb immediately and going through. And right now 15 is our cap, so there's no point in farming there again. Now, if we had missed the gate once and you wanted to farm supers back up, which you probably would, to be honest, then you would want to do all 6, so that you ended up full again. Okay, and then the strat for this room. So after you've gotten all of your supers, whether that's just one run through the previous room or, you know, multiple, what you want to do is roll through here and bomb this block. Now, I actually recently changed my strat here, so I'll just go over both things. You want to do a quick drop, and then bomb here again, collect screw attack, and you can come up here and grab the health recharge. The benefit to doing it this way is that when you come out of the room here, you can just immediately screw attack down through the floor and go into GT's room, which leaves you with more health, right? The disadvantage is that before you actually move on to the health recharge, you have to come down here and collect screw attack and then jump back up. So that's extra movement. So what I realized was you can actually just do an unmorph and open the door right there to get in the health recharge earlier. And this is optimal in terms of movement. However, you're going to have a lower health entering GT, because since you don't have screw attack, then you have to bomb this right here. And your health is decreasing, then you collect screw attack and run. So it's about a 20-25 health difference. Thankfully, with this loadout, we can still perform the fight. And especially if you have 15 supers here, you can definitely perform the fight. So, all right, Golden Chorizo. There are a couple different things you can do entering this room, but the main thing is that you definitely do want to collect these supers up here. Okay, no question about that. So what I do is I stop just to the left of this pillar. Then I turn around and I do a dash and I jump basically just before I reach GT. That should get you up as far as you need to go. And it really doesn't matter how long you take to do this. Like, you know, you could do something like that instead. As long as it's consistent for you, that's the main thing. But it's not going to save any time doing it shorter as opposed to longer, because you're still waiting for GT to wake up to start the fight anyway. See that? So I just stick with the long one because it's what I'm comfortable with. But whatever you're comfortable with. One thing that I will caution about in this room is be careful how you use screw attack, because you can get stuck like this, and then you're like, oh shoot, what do I do? And then the fight starts and you just kind of SOL, right? Another thing that really sucks to happen, that sucks if that happens. This. So, yeah. Just be careful how you position using screw attack up here. I've gotten to the point where I just try to make sure that I'm not landing too early. And then when I go to collect the super missile, I make sure that I'm doing a very short hop, if a hop at all, rather than like a full spin jump. Now I'm screwing this up. Overthinking it. And then you just want to jump back down here. You don't actually even have to do a little spin jump like that, like I did. You can just run off. The main thing is that you want to be charging your shot to have it ready to shoot right when the fight starts. Okay. Okay. Next up, this is a position that you want to stand in for GT. Visual cue that I use, Samus's back is right next to that pillar in the background. So there's this pillar right here, right? Basically, yeah, just want Samus's back to be right up against that. There is a little bit of leeway here. Like, GT shouldn't advance on you if you're standing here. Yeah, you're good here. But if you're not close enough, then he will, like, walk forward on you, basically. Okay, see that? So, he kind of, like, does some weird stuff there. This might actually... I'm gonna have to play around with this. Anyway, just make sure that you don't step too close to him, because he does a lot of damage. So if you bonk him here, that's really bad. That was like 200 damage? 100 and 150? Not sure. It's a lot of damage. So don't bonk him. I start the fight with 2 charge shots. One. Oops. Oh, the other thing. So you want to be standing right next to him when the fight starts, or he might not jump back. Again, the cue I use is this pillar right here. Just as long as you're standing on the left side of the pillar, he should jump back. So start off with 2 charge shots. Don't bonk him like that. That's bad. And then switch to supers. Now, you don't want to mash supers here. You want to shoot them timed very specifically. There are 2 reasons for this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to be getting 4 super missiles in between every 5th super that he will catch and hold on to. That super that he catches doesn't damage him, but it prevents him from catching the following supers, so they end up doing damage to him. And every super does 600 damage to him. The other thing is, you don't want to mash supers here, because that kind of... You're shooting faster than the cooldown, and so you're not necessarily going to get 4 supers in between every 5th one. See, I only got 3 in that time. 3, 4. Anyway. Yeah, so don't mash supers, just time it. Well, I'll count it out. Probably best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. Then you go back to shooting him with charge shots, okay? You do want these to be as quick as possible if you're doing the minimal super strat, because you don't have a ton of leeway for the fight. Again, the minimal super strat is 19 charge shots after he jumps back, so 21 charge shots total. And as you can see, my health is super low here. I actually missed one of those shots. So, yeah. Make sure that you're paying attention to when your charge shots come off, or you're going to end up in a bad situation. Now, you have reserves here, but you really don't want to activate the reserves, because you need those to stay full up until you get to the Ridley farm. The health recharge before and after GT does not fill your reserve tanks. It only fills your main energy tanks. So you want to avoid activating reserves right now, basically at all costs. We'll go over this one more time. 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5. Charge, charge, charge. 5. 10. 18. 19. That's how I handle the farm. Now, if you do decide to come in here with the extra supers, so that when you collect this super missile, you have 20. It's a lot less spacer shots. I think it's 12. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. 10, and then on the 11th shot is when he'll go down. And as you can see, I mean, I did refill here, but you have a lot more health leeway with this strat. I'll go over collecting his drops. So what I do here is I bomb just as GT's sprite disappears. I bomb next to the door. Now his sprite can be in different positions, so it can be kind of hard to see. But yeah, I select grapple, I bomb as his sprite disappears. I do a running jump through the drops. And then you want to do a running jump through the door. But you want the jump to be basically as late as possible. And then you want to hold angle and jump and right through this door, and that will send you straight up through the blocks. You don't actually have to hold angle, but you're gonna end up angling to shoot the door open anyway. By the way, if you miss, it's not a big deal. Just get up as fast as you can. Something that I used to do that was a little bit easier, that I'll show in just a second, is I would just stand here and just walk and yeah, walk and collect the drops, basically. This, and then I turn, shoot, jump the door. It's a couple seconds slower, so you're gonna lose more health doing that, and it's less likely that you'll survive without activating reserves if the fight was tight on health. Now this probably won't work. Yeah. However, if you're far enough to the left in the room and you don't get a jump right at the bottom of the door, you can still make it through because of the added speed. So if you're having trouble with the jump through the door, that might be something that you want to consider. Okay, last thing we're gonna do before I forget, I'm gonna turn on randomize. Now, we want a high super count and a high power bomb count coming out of this room. As you can see, we do not have a high super count. And sometimes that's just going to happen. But ideally, if RNG is on your side, you'll have 5+ supers and 6+ power bombs. Also, you do want full missiles if possible. It's not the end of the world if you don't have full missiles, but it can ruin your run if you happen to not get any missile drops between here and when you need a crystal flash, horridly. So that is one aspect to this route that would benefit from having a 20 missile loadout instead of 15. One more thing that I want to cover. Oh, and by the way, when you do this health recharge, you want to pause before you get onto the health recharge so you can turn off ice and spazer and then be ready to jump out of this room. My visual cue for jumping out of this room is kind of weird. Basically, I look at Samus's feet, and if I can see just that like one pixel of her front foot sticking out behind the rock in an angle position, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I realize that's kind of stupid. So if you can figure out something else, like maybe the way that her back leg is positioned in regards to that other rock, something, I don't know. But from here, you want to run and jump through the door, not too early, not too late, and jump up through. If you do it too early, you'll either bonk the ceiling like that, or see if I can get it. It's like frame perfect, so it's stupid how often it happens to me. It should work. Yeah. Anyway, you can actually, like, you can make it up, but Samus won't make it quite high enough to break the blocks with screw attack, so you'll have to fall back down and come back in here and refill your health again, and then try again. And I think that same sort of thing happens with the late jump. Anyway, it all depends on your position. Like, I used to do it from back here. So, yeah. Anyway, so GT in regards to missiles, I'll just show this really fast. I don't remember the exact number, unfortunately. If you have more than, I think it's 29 missiles, he will sometimes do this move instead of spitting eggs. And you don't want him to do that. But as long as you have less than, again, I think it's 30 or 29, all he'll do is spit eggs. Okay? I think it's 31. I think if you have 31 missiles or more, he'll sometimes do the swipe move. Let's see. Do it again. Three. Okay, he's doing it. 32. Yeah. So you want 31 missiles or less, and then he won't do the swipe move on you. So that's one benefit to only collecting 30 missiles or less throughout the entire run. Yeah. Okay. So that should cover GT, I think. So at this point, we only want Wave Beam equipped and the reason for that is because eventually when we get to Ridley, we're going to be using X Factor strats. So that's why we did that. And we will move forward now. So like I said, find a visual cue for this room, run and jump through. And then from here, you have two objectives. You want to clear every room as quickly as possible while collecting as many worth items as possible. So in this room specifically, you definitely want all of the super missiles, okay? I found the easiest way to do that is to jump forward and hit the first two on the way down. You can like turn left and kind of follow them as they fly left. And then immediately turn around and jump up. Yeah, jump up and hit the top two on your way over. Hit the low guy. Like that. And then do one more small jump. And get that last guy. That's the strat I came up with. There might be a better way to do it. I spent a while looking for it, didn't find one. So. Yeah. And then you want to hit this gate. One full X Factor. Each particle is worth 300 damage. And normally, each super is worth 300 damage, but against Ridley, they do 600. You want to shoot this gate, and then you want to shoot and start a short charge coming in through this room. A couple different ways that you can approach this next room. But the best thing to do is definitely to collect the drops from the orbs. Because they drop power bombs, like 99% of the time. Why am I sucking so bad? You guys asked me to explain it. No, you didn't. And so now I'm overthinking it and I can't do it. Yeah, kind of Saffron. People have been asking me to do a tutorial for a while, so I am doing one. It's for single Norfair. I'm covering all of my strats, and I'm trying to cover safeties as well. I'm not covering any double Norfair strats, except that I will cover some double Norfair Ridley loadouts. Just because. Okay, so entering this room, you want to hold shoot so that the door opens. I personally piano this room, but whatever is comfortable for you. Then you immediately want to shoot both of these guys and collect their drops with grapple beam. Something else that I used to do is I would run forward and I would collect it like that. I found that a little bit easier, but it's actually it's longer, and I actually find it harder than this now. So this is the strat that I would recommend for this room. Grapple is very important in a human RPO, yes. In a no major glitches human RPO. And then you want to shine spark through this room. If you happen to miss your short charge, you can just do a running jump through the room, especially because you have crew attack. I'll show that. You'll actually save a little bit of health doing this. Don't fall like that. Anyway, you'll save a little bit of health if you use crew attack through this room, but it's a lot slower. It's like 5 seconds slower or more. So I would just recommend doing the Shine Spark. Equip power bombs, open this door, and jump through the door, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to come up this left wall and hit that pirate with screw attack. Now you have to be careful how you position here, because for some reason, when Samus does a wall jump off of a wall and hasn't turned forward and hasn't spent enough frames off of the wall, she doesn't have screw attack frames. See that? So basically, you want to make sure that by the time you get back to the next pirate, you've turned around and are scaling the wall up again. Okay. From there, you want to lay a power bomb, jump back up, do a wall jump off of this little guy right here. The visual cue for where to jump, see there's a crack in the wall right here? You want to wall jump just below that crack, preferably kind of far from the wall, but if you're low enough and you do it right next to the wall, you'll still be okay. All right. Do that. You'll notice that I kind of don't even wait there. That's kind of a new aggressive thing that I've started doing. That is much harder than it needs to be. So if you're having trouble with that, I would recommend just taking it slow. Probably something like that. Yeah, don't do that again. Be very careful with your positioning where that's going to happen. So yeah, that's another thing that you can do, is you can just wait for the pirate to jump back across and then go up. It's probably safest. Or you can do like a very slow thing. You can also do like a power bomb up higher in the room. I think I've seen Ponk do that, maybe, but I wouldn't recommend that. As far as where to drop the power bomb, there's this crack in the wall, which is right below this bigger crack that we were talking about before. I try to have it at least halfway between these or higher, because if it's too low, then it's not going to break all of these ceiling tiles, and you're not going to be able to get up because of what I mentioned about how screw attack frames don't exist. There might be like a frame perfect turnaround possible there. I don't know, I haven't like tried to pass it out. But the chances of you getting that to work are astronomically low. So it's better to just place the power bomb higher. That way it breaks all the blocks for you. Okay? Yeah, the any percent method, the PRKD method for this room is a lot harder than this. And the KPDR method is a little bit harder than this. Okay, so once you get to the top of this room, however you want to do that, there are a few different ways to handle these platforming sections. If you want to be safe, you can just kind of ledge grab everything. Just make sure that you don't bonk this pirate at the top, kill him with screw attack. I do a wall jump there. It actually is a little bit faster, but yeah. Once you're ready to go through the door, make sure that you're not too far back and that you're not too far forward, okay? Because either of those is very bad for the next room. And I can show you why. Yeah, so if you're too far forward and you run through, what's going to happen, you're going to bonk this pirate. And then you're dead. So don't do that. If you're too far back, what's going to happen is, if I remember correctly, yeah, you're going to bonk that wall. And then you fall straight down here, and it's a lot slower. You're basically running from the acid. And it's harder and slower. So don't do that either. I do have a visual cue for where I want to be running into the next room. It's pretty loose. basically you want Samus's foot to be above these spikes, or more specifically, there's this red piece of background right here that kind of curves around. I try to line Samus's foot up with that, okay? And then I run through from there. After running through the door, you just want to hold down, and Samus will land on that platform. Now, sometimes it takes a while to get into position, and taking extra time in a heated room in RBO is never a good thing because you're constantly losing health. So let's say that you're just a little bit far behind. You don't bonk here, but if you keep holding down, you're gonna end up down in this little space here, which can be certain death. It's not a death sentence, but if you're not expecting it and it happens, good luck recovering from that. But if you know to anticipate it, what you can do is as soon as you clear the pirate, let go of down, and that will stop Samus's forward momentum so that you still land on the platform, okay? And then the rest of that room is just platforming, just the way that I did it. I've looked for faster strats, but I haven't been able to find any. So, again, maybe you can find one. And if you do, please share it, because that's what this is all about. Gosh dang it. Be really careful there. Okay. Land, jump over, jump up onto the next one, do ledge grabs on these platforms, screw attack that guy, do a short running jump here so that you make it up. If you do a long one, you're not going to make it up high enough. So just run across like half of the platform and jump up. Kill this guy, shoot, and hold shoot through the door, okay? The reason we're holding shoot through the door is so that we can clear these blocks and make it through the door. There are a few different ways to do this. You can do like a morph through it. You can also just jump and go through it. You don't want to rely on an angle shot here because that'll break the floor. You'll fall. So you can like do a crouch shot or just do another shot and run through. But the fastest thing is to jump over and go through the door, okay? What I've started doing is an awesome bounce ball strat. And that's so you don't actually hold run after the door transition. And yeah, basically you want to bonk on the ceiling right here and then do a morph. And you'll bounce across the gap and over here in the next room. Thing is, if you have a lot of speed, it can be harder. Or if you have even more speed, you can actually end up, let's see, this might have done it, in the hole. Yeah. So you got to be careful with how you approach that. But I've started doing it and I love it. I recently developed a new strat for this room. So I'm going to try and do that really fast. Then I'll explain alternatives. So yeah, the first thing I do is I unmorph here with super selected. I do a screw attack to get through the flame. And then I just jump down here. Dude, tacos are legit, Tim. I think you do need tacos. The next thing I do is arm pump a couple times and do a diagonal aim down shot as I am reaching this point of this hand structure. Okay. And then this is the hardest part. Do a morph and unmorph at the correct time and a damage boost off that fire flea. Come over here, take damage off that guy, kill this guy, jump up blind, and out of it. Okay. That's the strat I've started going for. It's a sub 18. What I used to do, if you get the bounce ball, then you come over here, you safely roll under the flame, you unmorph and shoot the guy. Let's say that you don't get the bounce ball, kind of the same idea. You can do a gap skip here if you want, or you can just jump across. Okay. The main thing is you do want to kill this guy with super. You can technically get over him without it. And I don't think it requires spring ball, but it's like mega hard and slow. So just don't do it, okay? But this lower portion is actually where it changed the most. What I used to do, and what I still do if I have lower health here, is I line myself up with this pillar in the background. So I just run, line up. I aim up to stop Samus from moving too far left. And then I just do a hop and a damage boost off the fire fleet right there. Okay. Then you do want to take damage from this fire flea and run across. The reason is that these spikes do 60 damage. And if you take damage from the spikes after collecting the energy tank, it's not rip, but things just got way harder for you. Okay. So try to focus on hitting that fire flea specifically. And then you can make your way up. Okay. There's one more strat that I was never very good at, but I'll talk about it anyway. You can do a mock ball here, and then unmorph and do a damage boost. If that's easy for you, I think it's technically faster than the other strat that I just showed. But I'm also pretty sure that it's slower than the first strat that I showed. Yeah, that's 1822. And the first strat that I showed was a sub 18. So that strat is hard. Okay. As you're coming through this door, you want to be holding angle down and shoot through the door transition. Thanks, Tex. What will happen there is Samus will automatically break these blocks and you can just run forward and you'll fall in. Okay. Once you fall in the block, you want to do a down back, down through the hole. Okay. You don't want to like aim down and then push left and stuff, because one, it's harder, and two, if you miss, you'll bonk. That's slow. It's bad. So just do a down back. You can screw attack and collect as many drops from these key hunters as you want. It's usually not going to be worth it to do all of them. I do the first one because if you don't, by the time you get down here, this key hunter is in a really awkward position. Do you see how close I was to bonking that guy? Like, let's see if I can bonk him just because I moved too fast. That actually happened to me in a run once where I died because I was going down too fast and I bonked that key hunter. And it was a really good pace run too. Yeah, right there. So, yeah, so that's why I stop and collect the drop from the first key hunter. Let's see. So yeah, collect this one. That gives the one that's lower enough time to move farther to the left. And then use a power bomb right here. I just line mine up with the top of this pillar. I think you can do it a little bit higher, but the idea is just that you want to lay it as early as possible and still break all of these blocks right here. So, as I said, stop and collect the first drop. If you're really lucky, you'll get a power bomb. If you're lucky, you'll get a super. If you're semi-lucky, you'll get a big health. And if you're unlucky, you'll get a small health. Hey, Owl, what's up, man? For this part, what I do is I count 1,000 after Samus disappears behind this wall. So I just go 1,000, and then I lay the next power bomb. Usually puts it right around here, or right around here next to this this little like spike thing, and that will come through and open the door. We'll break these blocks and open the door. I think you can do it a little bit earlier than that, but not by a whole lot, and it shouldn't affect how long it takes you to get through the room either. 1,000. Very minimally, just because you're waiting for that statue, I guess. Okay. I select supers and then push left through this door transition so that you are lined up with this left wall right here, right there. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And then there are quite a few different ways that you can approach this room. So we're going to talk about all of the ones that I can think of. Okay, the first and most obvious one, because you'll see a lot of people do it, including me in these runs, is to just hold left after the transition, come over here and break these blocks, and then come over and screw attack through these Deskigas, or in any percent you'd come over and do a mock ball under them or whatever, right? You use a power bomb as long as it's to the left of this flower decoration in the floor. It'll be far enough left to break those blocks. You can make it down, and that's the main important thing that we're after. If you want to, you can collect the PBs of shame right here, so you have extra power bombs, but that is going to take extra time and thus extra health. Man, I love it when Comcast ruins our stream. Another thing that you can do here is place a bomb and bounce over the flame there. That will save you about 10 energy, respectively. So not much, but it is some. However, there's a manipulation strat for these Deskiga, where you want to place your first bomb basically like slightly away from the wall, so you don't want to place it too far away like this, but you also don't want to place it like right up next to the wall either. Just want to place it kind of far from the wall, and then place your second bomb just as soon as Samus touches that second block. And what I do is I run forward right to the corner of that slope, immediately stand, and usually if you did it right, that first Deskiga will do a big hop, so you can just run under it. It didn't work that time, but I probably screwed something up. Anyway, and then you can just get through the rest of the room quickly that way, and you're gonna save more health doing that anyway than you would doing this. Okay, so I would recommend just going, personally. That's me. If you happen to screw up the manipulation, just make sure that you're watching for that and you don't bonk that Deskiga. And then this one, obviously, try to always be in screw attack as you're jumping down through the hole, because if you're not, and it's not in that power bond damage state, then you're going to take damage from it, and that's bad. Okay. A couple more things that you can do here. If you roll from the corner to the left as these bombs are, or as these blocks are breaking, or even looks like, yeah, you can just, if you roll to the corner from the left and then hold right, you'll fall all the way down. And what will happen then is that spike platform will activate earlier and drop earlier. Be very careful not to aim down to prep for your morph too early here, or you're gonna bonk this guy, okay? Make sure that you screw attack through him first, and then lay your power bomb. It's like that. You can KO through this. You cannot double KO. So I will show that strat here. Okay. So the single KO here. Basically, you want to take damage off the spikes and then drop down. The reason we take damage off the spikes... that might... That might be worth trying. Maybe. Anyway, the reason we want to take damage off the spikes is because even though they do 60 damage, that's still a lot less damage than these spike platforms do. These spike platforms do 200 damage. So yeah, single KO here. You don't want to do the double KO because that's too much damage to be worth it in most situations, especially if you miss. I just can't do it now. See, then we're getting into this pirate room with like 200 health. And again, if you miss, it's even less. So, you definitely want more health than that coming in here, but... Actually... Well, I was wrong. If you do the double KO correctly, the health is about the same. Well, great. Great, Zeni. You just found another YOLO thing that you don't want to do in runs, but are probably going to try and do in runs eventually. Because the double KO saves a lot of time. Showing green for me. Oh, it went into red? Okay. If you do miss, that sucks, but oh well. Just ride it out, basically. You'll be okay. You can also just wait. Obviously slower, but we end up getting through the door with about 60 or 70 plus more health. So it's worth considering. I generally only consider doing the KO if I'm dropping down through this hole with 400 plus health. If you have 400 or more, you can go for it. If you have less than that, I really wouldn't recommend it, because if you miss it, you're gonna end up in a bad spot. Okay, this room. These pirates. Couple things about them. If you don't behave in just the right way, sometimes they will do strange things. Okay? So it's not working for me right now, but like for example with this first pirate over here, sometimes if you like charge too early, for example, he'll like jump over into a weird position, and it's bad. But yeah, I'll just go over this, and if anybody has any questions, just let me know, and I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. So you want to stop and land somewhere on these 3 blocks, basically, and then hold dash the entire time through this room. You just want to shoot as you're running through them. It's kind of a big window, so don't be nervous about it. Like, you can shoot pretty early and still make it through and not take any damage. Okay, so you want to shoot through both of them and then press down to charge your Shine Spark. You don't want to do a stutter here for a couple of reasons, but the main reason is that in any heated room, for whatever reason, Samus, well, there is a reason, I just don't really want to explain it here on stream, but it's related to sound, ironically. Anyway, Samus has a chance of losing her blue suit status in Speed Booster if she is taking damage from the heated room, okay? But that won't happen if you're holding dash the entire time in this room specifically, with this setup. But if you do the stutter, there is a good chance that it will happen. And then you can't charge your Shine Spark, which I'll show. If it will let me. Like that, so the Shine Spark didn't charge, and now we're just screwed. Okay. So, yeah, don't stutter for this first one. You want to do a diagonal spark into the ceiling, and you want Samus to end up just above this TV, kind of next to this block, okay? And then once you come out of the crash animation, you want to hold forward for just like a few frames, and what will happen is Samus will move into range where the pirate decides that it wants to go into an attack state, and when they go into an attack state, they can be damaged. So it gets hit by the echo, and it dies, okay? This second pirate is basically the same. Also, avoid being too close, or this will happen, and the drops will be in kind of a bad position to collect. So, yeah, try to be far, but not too far. For this pirate, I do a stutter 2-tap. So I stutter 1, 2, hold, shoot, like that, and then I do a short charge. Stutter 1, 2, shoot, down, and then it's the same except reversed. So the other pirate, I think, was on this TV. This one's on this one. Okay. And then the last thing that I'll mention in this room regarding the pirates is if you spark from the floor, it's faster, and you're going to end up saving health if you do it optimally. The thing is, a couple things can happen. So I don't know if you saw, but right there, I sparked through the pirate as he was moving up, and since he was still invulnerable, I actually took damage every frame that I was inside of him, and took a lot of damage. Okay. So that's a problem. The other thing is, if you're out of position, that can happen, and that's bad too. So it does take some practice, but if you can get to the point where you're consistent with doing these floor sparks, it's definitely worth it. Especially because it makes for a good setup for this room. So, last thing about this room before we move on. Okay. You want to shoot your wave beam. Basically, so there's these statues in the background. My cue is to shoot it as I'm falling down past that like platform that the statue sits on. Okay. And then you want to jump through this door late because you want enough speed that you're not going to land on this platform, okay? Which means that you also want to be doing it from as far right as you can so that you have more speed. The benefit to doing a jump like that so that you have more speed coming in here and clearing the platform is that if you're fast enough, you can do a fast strat that I just found the other day. You can also end up in the acid if you do it too well, so watch out for that. I'll try. Okay, fast strat. So after you land, you immediately want to run forward and screw attack through that blue guy. And then something that you can do is a damage boost off the bug and collect the drop with grapple like that, okay? And then you can run through. That wasn't the exact strat. I missed the second farm there, but it's a good strat, okay? The strat that I was doing before, I'll go over in just a minute. That's the strat, okay. It's a good strat. See how low our health is? That was mostly because of pirate drops. Can you believe that? Terrible. Pirate drops and the fact that we did the double KO. And bad things. That first pirate actually, before this save state, dropped like almost entirely supers, I just realized. So I probably shouldn't have saved state there, but whatever. The strat that I used to do in here is I would play it safe and I'd just bonk through the door here, and then you land on the thing and you go. You can collect these drops if you want. I never really found benefit in doing it. So anyway, yeah, you go through and basically you just try to get through this room as quickly as possible, like this. You do want to collect those drops just because it's a solid collection of enemies right at the end of the room that doesn't take very long to collect if you do it right. So cover this room. We're not gonna have enough health to do this the right way, so I'm gonna have to cheat. Yeah. If you do end up in a situation where reserves are going to activate automatically before you want them to, it's actually better to activate them manually, simply because that way you won't lose the extra health that you lose during the activation. So, and I can show that. We have 100 energy in our reserves right now, but if you pay attention, the number starts at 73 or something like that, and that's because while the reserve is activating, Samus is still taking heat damage. So these frames right here, while it's activating, she's taking heat damage. So that doesn't happen if you activate it manually. Anyway, we are, like I said, going to cheat here. Yeah. Okay. So for this room, there's a couple things you can do. The fastest strat is to run off here and shoot that guy with a grapple shot. And then get these guys. Jump over here, jump here, collect these drops, jump across, shoot the door with a super, come back, and keep farming like this, okay? At this point, you would have probably 100 or less health, and basically you just want to farm here until you're full on supers, and then your health goes all the way down. Okay, you let it deplete here, reserves activate, and then what I do is I collect those health drops when Samus reaches 60 health, and then quickly switch from grapple to power bombs and execute the crystal flash. Now, this room entry strat is really risky because if you miss, that's bad, obviously. So something that I used to do is this, and it's definitely slower, but it's a lot safer. So you can try that if you want. Or you can just jump across here and do this, which is faster and not super risky. It's not quite as fast as that first strat that I showed, but it's still pretty fast. Ideally, you want to spend as little time stopped before you get to the eye door as possible. I haven't done the math on it exactly, but I'm pretty sure that the more time that you spend stopped here, the more time you're losing just because of waiting for bugs to get in position or, stuff like that. So if you can, for example, jump across right here instead of doing the 2 farms and then do 1 more farm, that's good. Also, if you do have full power bombs or nearly full power bombs, you want to keep as many of these orbs alive as you can so that you can collect their power bomb drops after you do the crystal flash. Now, this one on the left is kind of tricky. This one right here, because if you shoot the eye door at the wrong time, he'll fall off into the acid. But I believe if you do it while he's on a... Maybe you have to do it while he's on the top. Yeah, if you do it while he's on the top, then he won't fall. But you're basically never going to be in a situation where you need to keep him alive too. So I would just keep those 2 alive, come over here, shoot the eye door, collect your bug drops. And then again, we want to try and time this this crystal flash so that both of these orbs end up in a position where we can collect their power bomb drops. So this is good right here, because we can do that. And look, now we have 6 power bombs instead of 4. Isn't that wonderful? It's freaking wonderful. Okay, so farming here. Basically, you want to farm these bugs until you're full on supers. That is the main objective here, is to farm these bugs until you have maximum supers. Now, if they drop big health like this, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it means that you're going to be entering Ridley's room with more health. But it does mean that you're losing a lot of time to RNG, okay? 622, that's really good. Optimally, what you want to do is shoot these bugs with grapple before they're even on screen. But sometimes what happens is that, exactly. Where you shoot just a little bit too early, and they come up, you miss, they come up, and that's bad. So, the one thing I'll say is, don't spend too much time waiting for them to come up, because if you wait for them to fly this high up, you're actually going to lose a lot more health and time trying to do the farm. So yeah, like it takes a lot longer and you're losing a lot more health way more rapidly. See, we're already down to 600 and we're not even, like, we have 3 more supers that we need, right? Yay, we did it. Oh crap, we have less than 500 health, so we're basically dead. So yeah, try to focus on farming the bugs as quickly as you can while still being accurate, okay? So if you can be accurate and never miss or almost never miss with the grapple before they come on screen nonsense, then do it. Because it's going to greatly help your loadout going into Ridley's room. Okay. Now, I mentioned 620 health is really good. I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable with the Ridley fight as long as I have about 560, 570 plus. It used to be 580 is what I was looking for, or 600 was like really good. But since I've optimized the farming, if I'm below 600, I actually consider that subpar. So basically, if I'm below 600, I better have gotten really, really good ammo drops and like no health drops. And then, yeah, the last thing is once you get all the supers you need, you want to run over, and while you're running over, switch to power bombs, and then just go through the door. And then you want to hold shoot after the door to start the X Factor for the Ridley fight. We're gonna cover Ridley tomorrow or another day, so I'm not gonna go into detail about that right now. But missile drops from these bugs are very low percentage chance. So if you get them, like, it's hard because you want them because you need at least 10 after the fight to do the crystal flash, right? And if you get health bombed by Ridley, the chances of getting more missiles on the way out of here are low. They're not so low that you can't ever expect it to happen, but they're low, right? So if you do get missiles here during this farm, like, it's kind of like you... Hang on, I just realized something. Okay, so we can collect that power bomb with a straight jump. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if you do get missiles from these bugs, like, really you should be celebrating, but the problem is you're losing health in that situation, right? Because you're picking up a missile instead of a big health. So that's not helping you get into Ridley's room faster. It's just helping your chances of survival if you happen to get a health bomb from Ridley after the fight a little bit. Which, ideally, we're not going to get a health bomb from the Ridley fight anyway. So. Alright, yeah, that should cover it for today, I think, for the tutorial. Like I said, we'll do Ridley probably tomorrow or sometime soon, whenever we do another one. And that will probably take all of the time that I want to spend doing a tutorial on that particular day, because there is so much to cover with Ridley. The first tutorial that I did, I think, was like 30 minutes or something, and like, I've learned so much since then, and I only covered like a couple strats back then, and I want to cover more strats this time. So hey Kino, so we'll call that good for today.